Hot take. The universe doesn't understand English, Sanskrit, or any mantra written on your wall. It speaks in energy. That's why people can recite affirmations for years and still feel nothing move. Words without voltage are only air. The work is learning the language of energy, how attention directs energy, how consciousness shapes experience, why every reaction is a small vibrational yes. It sounds mystical, yet it's simply awareness trained to notice cause and echo in real time. If you've ever sighed, "I'm doing everything right, so why isn't it happening?" This moment marks the turning point. The counterintuition is that the universe, or reality itself, answers only the present tense. It hears the heartbeat beneath your words, not the syntax. Louder affirmations don't help. Cleaner signals do. Precision begins when you choose focus like currency. Practice the feel-as-if state until your nervous system believes it. And let the inner guidance system sort intuition from ego with quiet authority. A quick experiment. Pick one simple statement that feels possible now. I am steady. Sit still. Let breath slow until body and thought hum together. Then act on one small decision that matches that steadiness. Reply to a message with calm. Close a task without rushing. You've just broadcast a clear signal. The mirror of life always listens. He begins to sense that existence itself mirrors his inner lens. Wherever attention lingers, form thickens. Whatever he ignores dissolves like fog. This is selective attention, revealing how consciousness creates reality. The universe isn't judging or choosing. It's reflecting data. Energy flows to what's illuminated. When he invests awareness, the language of energy organizes itself around that spotlight, turning potential into pattern. When he dwells on scarcity or resentment, those frequencies echo back as confirmation. When he pauses to notice the taste of morning coffee or the kindness of a stranger, his internal feed brightens. Co-creating reality is not abstraction, it's camera work. He tests it hourly. What filled my mind this past hour? What did I refuse to feed? The answers chart his energetic budget, showing exactly how attention directs energy beyond thought. He sets subtle anchors, a bracelet that reminds him to return, a small tone on his phone every 2 hours. Each cue asks, what am I illuminating? If it's noise, he releases it. If it's resonance, he amplifies it. Reaction equals a vibrational yes, so he chooses his yes carefully. Through practice, he feels consciousness expand. He becomes artist, canvas, and brush. He treats attention like currency. Spend it carelessly and life sends overdraft notices. Invest it wisely and interest compounds. Every notification, every complaint is a withdrawal. Morning ritual, 3 investments, body, mission, relationship. He writes them down and checks them like a trader watching the market of meaning. That's attention as energetic currency. And the returns are clarity, calm, traction. He notices that focusing on the problem is like staring at a stuck compass, motionless. Instead, he aims the needle toward a desired feeling and moves a step in that direction. A tidy desk becomes symbolic alignment. A single generous gesture turns vibration into action. Each repetition wires a new baseline. The subconscious doesn't filter. It simply records. So he floods it with small, believable proofs until faith becomes fact. At night, he audits his energetic account. Where did I spend? Where did I save? He finds that even brief gratitude sessions, 30 seconds of noticing softness in the breath, reset the balance sheet. Attention directs energy. The language of energy answers instantly. The law isn't moral, it's mechanical. He learns next that thoughts alone are hollow vessels. The law of attraction beyond thought is not about forced positivity, but charged receptivity. Each idea carries an emotional signature. Emotion decides whether it manifests or dissolves. Saying, I am abundant through clenched teeth transmits scarcity. Feeling quiet sufficiency while saying nothing at all transmits abundance. Energy, not wording, writes the outcome. He experiments. A thought that feels light, he breathes into. A thought that feels heavy, he lets pass. The universe mirrors this triage without delay. He realizes that ignoring negativity isn't denial. It's intelligent editing. Consciousness curates experience by what it continues to notice. The feedback loop becomes visible. Attention, resonance, reflection. When he hears others repeat affirmations like mantras, He listens to their tone, not their text. The effective ones sound congruent. The body agrees with the mouth. The rest are wishful noise. True manifestation is not thinking harder but feeling truer. The embodiment of desire is the switch that completes the circuit. Every time he feels now what he used to postpone, reality rearranges to match. He begins speaking to the universe as if aiming a laser, word, focus, feeling, aligned. A scattered mind sends static. A coherent heart sends clarity. Short present tense cues become his favorite tools. I'm supported. Solutions flow. The universe hears frequency, not grammar. Consciousness creates reality when intention and attention fuse into one clean note. Each morning he builds a signal stack. Step 1. Breathe until tension melts. Step 2. Define one desire in the simplest language possible. Step 3. Feel as if for 90 seconds. The embodied rehearsal that turns wish into broadcast. Step 4. Act on the first gentle impulse. The act grounds the signal. Reality responds. In daily life, this shows up everywhere. Before meetings, he whispers, "I'm composed and clear," and the room mirrors his composure. When anxiety flares, he rephrases it as energy waking up. Energetic resonance becomes his literacy. He realizes the universe never stops speaking. It simply echoes what he transmits. Reaction equals a vibrational yes, so neutrality becomes his shield and gratitude his amplifier. He starts noticing the quiet craftsmanship of awareness itself. Paying attention to attention becomes step 1 of mastery. Before doing anything, he checks. Where is my focus parked? Is it building or bleeding energy? This small audit prevents days from drifting into entropy. Consciousness creates reality through cumulative seconds, not grand events. Every hour he pauses for 10 breaths, names the strongest sensation, and re-aims focus with a single line. I choose clarity. That tiny reset lifts his vibrational frequency more than an hour of forced positivity. He sees how awareness itself is the steering wheel of creation. He learns that attention has weight. Wherever it settles, life densifies. Every reaction is an investment, every silence a saving. The simplest discipline, choosing when to look away, reshapes his entire field. He treats awareness like sunlight. Aim it at weeds and they thrive. Aim it at seeds and they bloom. The language of energy is impartial. It only multiplies illumination. He practices micro-presence. While washing dishes, he listens to water striking porcelain. During a conversation, he feels the rhythm of his breath under words. Small acts, but each one raises vibrational frequency more effectively than any grand ritual. Consciousness creates reality not in rare epiphanies, but in 1,000 quiet corrections of focus. He begins speaking in the present tense. The universe doesn't understand future me. It responds to current frequency. Every I will be delays arrival. Every I am locks alignment. He experiments. I will get calm keeps him restless. I am calm now steadies the pulse. Grammar becomes circuitry. The tense determines the timeline. He applies this everywhere. Money. I manage my resources wisely now. Health. My body knows balance now. Relationships. I meet understanding now. The subconscious doesn't filter. It obeys repetition. After weeks of practice, these sentences stop sounding like affirmations and start feeling like descriptions. That subconscious reprogramming in motion. Repetition until natural until obvious. When doubt visits, he greets it. You're just proof that new code is loading. He doesn't fight the noise. He turns down its volume through gentle breath. Reaction equals a vibrational yes, so neutrality denies the signal power. What remains is focus, steady, available, ready to be directed. The next skill is emotional embodiment, the feel-as-if principle. He discovers that feeling now what he used to postpone rewires perception. Instead of waiting for evidence to allow joy, he lets joy preview the evidence. The body believes the rehearsal. When he breathes as the version who already succeeded, his choices mirror that state naturally. The law is simple. Frequency first, form later. He builds an embodiment circuit. 90 seconds of full-body immersion. What does the desired reality sound like, smell like, weigh in the hands? He paints the scene with sensory detail until gratitude rises unforced. Then one congruent action. Send the message, drink the water, close the tab. Each loop strengthens resonance between imagination and matter. Every area of life becomes practice. For finances, he acts like a responsible steward before the numbers change. Tracking, tithing, appreciating flow. For health, he moves as someone already vital, stretching, resting, eating color. For love, he behaves as a loyal partner now, listening deeply, expressing clearly. The embodiment of desire becomes second nature. Reality catches up because attention directs energy and energy writes form. He starts perceiving existence as a grand game of awareness, like poker with cosmic stakes. Beginners play only their cards. Masters read the table. Expanding consciousness means studying the invisible variables, emotional tells, intuitive nudges, environmental feedback. Every choice becomes a wager of vibration. He notices patterns. Acting from ego feels urgent, brittle, expensive. Acting from intuition feels light, fluid, profitable. The inner guidance system becomes his silent dealer, sliding insights across the table as sensations. Tightness means fold. Ease means play. Consciousness creates reality the way strategy creates victory, through calm observation and timing. The language of energy never lies. When his vibe is frantic, opportunities scatter. When centered, they cluster like magnets. He learns patience, the art of waiting without stagnation. Expansion is reading more of the board, understanding that even losses are information about alignment. He writes in his journal, intuition whispers. Ego argues. It becomes mantra and mirror. Each time the whisper wins, results unfold smoothly. When argument wins, resistance grows. Bit by bit, intuition's volume rises through repetition and trust. That's co-creating reality with the universe instead of against it. In silence, he hears guidance. 5 minutes before big decisions, he asks, does this feel like relief or resistance? The first bodily answer, an exhale, a warmth, a subtle ease, is always correct. Reaction equals a vibrational yes, so he grants yes only to resonance. That selectivity keeps his energetic field coherent. The subconscious doesn't filter. It records frequency through exposure. Repetition and subconscious reprogramming become maintenance rather than effort. Each morning and night he rehearses alignment. Breathe, feel as if, speak in present tense, act congruently. These 4 steps rewrite his default settings. He fills his environment with cues, quotes on mirrors, playlists that carry calm tempos, colors that mirror his target state. Attention directs energy through design as well as thought. Over weeks, the space itself starts teaching the mind what to expect. Consciousness creates environment. Environment reinforces consciousness. Results surface quietly. He stops chasing, starts magnetizing. People describe him as lucky, but he knows it's literacy, fluency in the language of energy. The inner guidance system navigates automatically now, intuition steering micro-decisions faster than analysis could. At this stage, he sees how every moment offers choice. React and multiply chaos, or respond and multiply coherence. Every breath is a brushstroke on the canvas of reality. The artist isn't separate from the art. The observer is the field observing itself. He writes again in his notes, I am not manifesting life. Life is manifesting me. The distinction collapses the distance between seeker and source. Feelings once practiced now feel native. Actions once forced now arise spontaneously. The mirror finally reflects recognition. He learns that the more he quiets the noise, the clearer the instructions become. Intuition no longer feels like a whisper. It's a steady current beneath thought. It moves him toward people, places, and moments that resonate. When he listens, coincidence turns to choreography. The inner guidance system becomes a compass he can finally trust. He doesn't chase. He aligns, and life moves to meet him halfway. He begins to see repetition as the architecture of change. The subconscious doesn't filter. It believes everything rehearsed. Each thought and emotion leaves an imprint, a groove of expectation. So he chooses his repetitions like a sculptor choosing tools. 5 minutes morning and night he practices the same short sequence. Breathe, soften, speak one present tense phrase, feel its truth in the body, then act. The act seals the code. Over weeks the practice shifts from ritual to reflex, until his baseline mood rises without effort. he notices something profound. Reality adjusts to familiarity. What he feels repeatedly becomes his normal, and the world faithfully mirrors that normal. Old fears dissolve from neglect. New beliefs root through exposure. He no longer forces positivity. He simply trains familiarity toward peace. Consciousness creates reality, because familiarity is the mold reality pours itself into. To keep the process alive, he uses environment as ally. He redesigns his workspace with colors that calm, scents that ground, sounds that expand. Attention directs energy, and energy shapes behavior. Architecture becomes affirmation. Even the way sunlight hits the wall reminds him of expansion. He learns that space can speak the same language of energy as words and thought. People start to notice the difference. They ask what changed, and he smiles. I started listening. It's not a new philosophy, it's a new literacy. He pays attention to attention itself. When he notices drift, he returns. When emotion spikes, he breathes. When opportunity knocks, he answers without hesitation. Each small act reinforces a larger coherence. He treats setbacks as feedback rather than punishment. When something feels off, he asks, "Where did my focus go?" The answer always points to scattered attention. Correcting it feels like tuning an instrument. Tighten here, loosen there, find resonance. Once tuned, the melody of experience plays itself. The law is consistent. Reaction equals a vibrational yes, so choose reactions with care. He begins teaching others what he's learned. Not in grand lectures, but in everyday language. How to breathe before replying, how to notice the energy behind a question, how to move slower so awareness can keep up. He tells them that consciousness isn't an escape from the world, it's a better way of being in it. When attention is trained, even washing dishes becomes meditation. Even traffic becomes a mirror for patience. He sees now that the purpose of every desire was never the object itself. It was to evoke a frequency of being. Each goal simply guided him back to a particular feeling: safety, creativity, freedom, love. When he can feel those without condition, he stops using desire as leverage. The field responds immediately. Abundance feels like breathing rather than achievement. The more he practices, the simpler it becomes. Speak clearly, feel now, act once, repeat. The universe requires no drama, only coherence. He realizes that this process was never about manipulating reality, but harmonizing with it. Consciousness and creation are the same movement seen from two sides. He starts each morning with gratitude not as courtesy but as calibration. Gratitude aligns frequency faster than ambition. He thanks the day before it unfolds, treating it as an ally rather than an obstacle. Throughout the day, he pauses often, checking for resonance. Does this conversation expand or contract me? Does this choice feel heavy or light? These questions keep his compass true. Evening arrives softly, the air thick with a kind of golden hush. He stands by the window watching light dissolve and realizes that this too is communication. The universe never stopped answering. It simply speaks in gradients of color, temperature, intuition. He used to rush through these transitions, hunting for signs. Now he understands that everything is the sign. Consciousness creates reality through attention, and attention is a form of affection. Whatever he truly loves begins to reveal itself. He starts using ordinary life as his field of practice. At the market, he watches energy in motion. How one impatient glance can ripple tension down the checkout line. How one sincere smile can reset an entire mood. Attention directs energy instantly. He sees it now, live and measurable. When he walks home, he experiments with gratitude. Not as an exercise, but as curiosity. Can the streetlights feel it? The question sounds whimsical, but something in the air brightens each time. He turns his apartment into a small temple of coherence. Not incense and ritual, but clarity. Uncluttered desks, open windows, a playlist that breathes. The subconscious doesn't filter, so every detail, every object, teaches the nervous system what normal feels like. If normal is order, peace follows. If normal is chaos, confusion multiplies. He chooses order. Each evening, he straightens the room as a way of straightening his vibration. It becomes moving meditation, proof that co-creating reality begins with cleaning the mirror. Friends notice the difference. They ask what he's doing, and he answers, listening more than speaking. That sentence alone changes the temperature of conversation. People lean in. He notices how empathy modifies space. Rooms feel larger when understanding enters them. Energetic resonance is architectural. It shapes invisible walls. When he chooses presence, even silence feels generous. Challenges still visit, but now they arrive as tutors rather than thieves. A delayed project, a missed opportunity, an argument. Each one tests alignment. Instead of reacting, he pauses and listens for the hidden lesson. Reaction equals a vibrational yes, so he refuses to feed frustration. He breathes once, senses the frequency underneath, and thanks it for the reminder to recalibrate. Within minutes, tension releases its grip. Consciousness doesn't remove obstacles. It teaches navigation. He writes daily observations in a notebook titled Proof of Dialogue. One page lists small miracles. A call returned at the perfect moment. An idea that solves two problems at once. A chance meeting that feels orchestrated. None of it violates physics. All of it demonstrates coherence. The more he notes, the more evidence appears. Attention amplifies what it measures. This is how belief matures into knowing. Not by faith alone, but by accumulated pattern. Late one night, he catches his reflection in the darkened window and feels a sudden warmth spread through his chest. The eyes looking back are calm, certain, quietly joyful. He understands that this entire journey, from thought to frequency to manifestation, was never about gaining control, but remembering participation. He isn't an outsider pleading to a distant cosmos. He's a facet of the same awareness that spins galaxies. Speaking to the universe is simply speaking to himself in a higher dialect. He refines his practice by turning questions into instruments. Instead of asking, "When will it happen?" he asks, "What frequency is missing right now?" That single pivot moves him from waiting to weaving. He notices that impatience always points to an unloved corner of the present. So he loves the corner, details, breath, texture, the specific light in the room. Reality, like a shy animal, steps closer when met without demand. In that closeness, ideas land. Calls line up. The improbable becomes precise. He crafts small, elegant protocols he can use anywhere. A 3-breath reset in an elevator. A 1-sentence intention before he opens a door. A 5-second check-in with the inner guidance system before he says yes. He learns that most misalignment comes from rushing past these micro moments. The solution isn't grand. It's granular. Attention directs energy best in tiny intervals, like a violinist tuning between pieces. 5 seconds well used can save 5 days of friction. Work becomes a proving ground for presence. He starts meetings with 30 seconds of silence, no explanation, just a gentle pause. The room resists for 3 heartbeats, then exhales. People speak slower. Say what matters, skip what doesn't. Decisions emerge with less argument and more ownership. The language of energy writes minutes no spreadsheet can capture. Relief, respect, coherence. He documents outcomes. Shorter agendas, clearer roles, fewer revisions, and calls it practical mysticism. In relationships, he chooses repair over perfection. He no longer expects resonance to mean sameness. Friction is information. Disharmony is a request for tuning. When a conversation tightens, he softens his shoulders, lowers his voice, and listens for subtext. Needs hiding behind opinions, fears hiding behind logic. He answers the need, not the noise. Connection returns like a tide coming home. Love, he decides, is advanced attention. He also learns the art of strategic ignoring. Not everything deserves spotlight. Not every complaint needs a courtroom. He practices compassionate non-reaction, the refusal to turn passing weather into climate. Reaction equals a vibrational yes, so he lets some storms spend themselves without comment. Oddly, problems lose weight when he declines to lift them. Decluttering the nervous system turns out to be the fastest form of intelligence. On difficult days, he keeps a minimalist mantra. Steady, simple, present. He eats slowly, walks without headphones, lets sunlight recalibrate his mood. He writes down one line he can believe, "I am carried," and he carries it until it carries him. By evening, the field has cleared. Consciousness creates reality across hours the way rivers carve canyons. Consistent contact, gentle and unstoppable. He plays with time. Future pacing used to feel like fantasy. Now it feels like rehearsal. He visits the version of himself 3 months ahead, the one who solved today's puzzle, and asks what he practiced to get there. The answers are ordinary. I sent the email when I felt calm. I asked for help sooner. I slept. The extraordinary hides inside the ordinary. Frequency hides in hygiene. He smiles at the humility of real transformation. The body remains his most honest oracle. Tight jaw, shallow breath, rushing mind. Ego is driving. Warm chest, slow exhale, curious thought. Intuition has the wheel. He stops arguing with signals and starts partnering with them. Rest becomes strategy, not reward. Joy becomes guidance, not garnish. The inner guidance system is not mystical after all. It is mechanical in the gentlest way. As his fluency grows, his ambitions evolve. He still loves outcomes, but he no longer confuses outcomes with identity. The identity is the tuning, the daily return to coherence. Goals are simply stations along a melody he already knows how to play. That insight dissolves desperation. He works with devotion and detachment, fierce about effort, loose about results. Paradoxically, results improve. He keeps the simplest promises. Tell the truth. Keep the calendar. Honor the body. Answer slowly. These are spiritual acts wearing secular clothes. Each promise kept increases trust, and trust stabilizes frequency. Others begin to rely on his steadiness the way hikers rely on a lighthouse. He doesn't perform calm. He is calm, and the room borrows it. On quiet weekends, he turns the city into a classroom. He watches how parks change at different hours, how cafe music alters conversations, how a single kind gesture near a subway turnstile can ripple through 50 strangers. He is collecting evidence that the world is responsive, not rigid. When attention enters a space, the space answers. He writes in his notebook, "Reality is participatory. I am not a spectator." Eventually, he understands the simplest truth. The universe does not need to be persuaded. It needs to be perceived. When perception is clear, alignment is natural. When alignment is natural, action is obvious. When action is obvious, outcomes are ordinary miracles. He laughs at how complicated he once made this. The curriculum fits in one pocket. Speak cleanly, feel presently, act congruently, repeat. So he repeats. Day after day he repeats. The repetition isn't mechanical anymore. It's musical. Some days are minor key, some days are bright, but the melody holds. In the holding, he discovers a quiet bliss that does not depend on weather, inboxes, or applause. Gratitude becomes the climate rather than a forecast. He notices that gratitude always asks for a verb: give, help, mend, build, so he becomes useful in small, precise ways. At night, he steps to the window again. The city hums. Distant sirens thread through the air like thin red lines. Someone laughs 3 stories below. He places a hand over his heart and speaks a single line, nothing elaborate, a sentence that tastes of honesty. "Thank you for letting me notice." The reply is a feeling, not a voice. Warmth, width, a soft yes rising from nowhere and everywhere at once. He realizes the conversation has no punctuation, only breath. He smiles, closes the notebook, and turns out the light, certain that when the morning returns, the dialogue will begin again exactly where it left off, inside his next chosen moment of attention.